Hey, hello to all, and welcome to the Believe in Yourself, Believe in Your Business show. This is amazing. We will have Paula James from Canada. I am very grateful that you are here with us today, and we are going to be learning a lot about your life and the struggle that you have, and also the amazing thing that you have done. So, thank you, Paula, for connecting with us today and to being here with us, opening your heart to know a little bit of your wisdom and the thing that you have learned during your life. So, thank you for being here with us.
Thank you, Alejandro. It's a pleasure to be here with you.
Okay, today we are going to start with your story, who you were, like when you started your life, and really tell us exactly as a child, as a teenager, just to give us like a background. Like, okay, Paula was this girl when you were young, and you were going through these good and bad things, the areas that you want to share. So we start to understand where you're coming from.
Thank you. I was born in Michigan, in the Midwestern United States, and my parents bought this wonderful house that the backyard opened out onto the elementary school playground. So in my childhood, I had lots of unsupervised hours out in a big field with the big swings and slides and seesaws. And that was so wonderful for me. I loved being out, moving around, being in the sunshine. And also, what was great about that much time that was unsupervised was that I got to make my own decisions about what I wanted to do and what risks I wanted to take. So,
Mm.
for example, I loved to swing really high on the swings and then jump off and land. And I like to run up the slides backwards and then sit down with both legs hanging over one side and come down. So I had a lot of time to just play around with, well, what would I like to do and how did that work out for me? And what risky things did I think I could handle, and what was too much. So I had a lot of confidence in my own physical self, and so then I was a good student, but I also played kickball with the boys, and I climbed the rope in gym class.
Mm.
I took some dance classes, and then later some martial arts, Tai Chi and Aikido. So by the time I was an adult and moving around more in the world, I just had a lot of confidence in my own ability to move around and to keep up with others that I think really mattered. When
Mm.
I was in middle school and high school, I started playing folk music, and that was wonderful. So in the summers, I went to a lot of outdoor music festivals and performed and took classes and taught classes and just met a lot of amazing people. And we just would spend a whole weekend, hanging out with people. There wasn't a trying to get ahead, trying to do things. Um, and there'd be like a fairgrounds with a couple thousand people, and just the confidence to be able to walk around and knowing that any one of them would be interesting to talk to, and that I would enjoy meeting. So when I went to college, and I was a comparative literature major, so very interested in stories, very interested in people. I love novels where you get to hear a lot of the interior life of the characters and then see how they grow and change over time.
Mm.
So very story oriented. And then I loved foreign languages. So in high school and college, I studied French. I got to spend the summer between high school and college in the south of France, with a French family, and I'm still in touch with my French sister. And then I began studying Mandarin Chinese while I was in college. And right after graduation, I bought a one-way ticket to Taipei, and and then I spent the next 2 years in Asia. And the reason I wanted to mention so much about the playing outside and the music festivals is I got challenged a lot by people. "Well, why are you going to Taiwan?" That made no sense to them. And I wasn't able to explain it in a way that made sense to them, how I just knew that that was where I wanted to be. So one of the things I knew with confidence from my music background was that I was going to meet a lot of wonderful people. So my standard answer then became, well, I'm going to spend time with friends. And that sort of quieted down the people who were curious and quizzing me. And what I didn't say was, yes, and I just haven't met them yet.
A quick question about Taiwan. Okay, why Taiwan and not another place?
I spent a year in Taiwan and then the next year in mainland China. And so I don't really know why Mandarin and why China. I when I was in the south of France, I was having a wonderful time and I was enjoying speaking French and I was enjoying meeting people. But I also had the sense that I had worked very hard to learn this language. And when I got there, the people weren't different enough for me. And in fact, there was a lot of American influence. So there were a lot of them. It was mostly American music in the dance places that my French sister took me to. And I remember I couldn't find a t-shirt that had French words on it. Everything was in English. So I was walking outside by myself in that little town in the south of France. And I thought, well, then this, so I was 17 years old. I said, the next time I learn a language and go someplace, I'm going to go someplace different. Maybe I'll go to China.
Mm.
I don't know why in that moment China was what came up. I had studied some Tai Chi in high school. Um, but it just came as a real as a knowing, um, and I never wavered from that. There wasn't ever a, well, why not something else. That was really.
I teach something that I believe that relates a lot with this. It's everything is created twice. You know, you have heard that, like first in your mind and then it's in front of you. And what I see with what you are saying is exactly that. Like, okay, it was created in my mind the idea of studying Mandarin, and then you started to nurture that until suddenly you are in Taiwan. And
And I had the opportunity to travel a little bit when I was in Asia. So I spent a couple weeks in Japan. I spent a little time in Thailand, and they were wonderful, and I enjoyed them. But there was something really that was like coming home for me when I got back to China. So I don't know what that connection is, but yes, exactly. There, it was that moment of, well, I think I'll do this, and that came from the inside.
nice. And quick question. I know that you started this story amazing. It's completely different of all the interviews that I had done before, and it's about like all the playing and for me that is even important, that question, and understanding a little bit that part that you can see right now as okay, that helped me to develop all these skills. What were those skills that you feel that help you? I am very interested in this because I have two little kids. One is 2 and the other one is 4. And sometimes you are like thinking like, yeah, I want to leave them like do whatever they want, but at the same time, I want to be watching them to see that they are not doing wrong things, and because they both are boys, so suddenly like they can be like very tough, like playing too hard, and it's like no, you have to take care that they are not like doing harm between each other. And of course they are very little, and that's why maybe you have to take care of that. But tell me a little bit more about that part of the playing, that being alone, that being unsupervised, how all those things started to help you to develop the Paula that we can see today, that can go to Japan, can go to China without knowing anybody there, and starting to have friends even when you don't know anybody there, you know?
I think I think one of the things was just getting to have a lot of time to make my own decisions
Mm,
so that I wasn't constantly being told what to do or told, no, that's too much, or you should do it a different way. But there was some time for me to kind of unfold and bloom in, well, what would I like to do? And how's that going for me? Right. Like if I jumped off the swing and I went too high or I wasn't paying attention, then I had a hard landing. And then that was my consequence. It wasn't that someone else told me it was too much. It was that, oh, well, I'm the one that got the bruise.
mm,
So there also was a sense that I was okay with that, right? That I mean, I liked swinging high. I liked the work that went into it. I liked the flying, but I also liked landing. I liked feeling that the ground was solid. I liked feeling my own bony structure, taking that. So I think there also was just an experience of the pleasure of things being a little bit rough and tumble, that it wasn't that everything didn't always have to be nice, that I could be jostled a little bit and that I would be fine, right? I wouldn't break. and that it was fun to do things that were challenging. It was fun to test my strength. It was fun to test my coordination, so that it wasn't always about achieving. It wasn't always about being recognized by someone else, but it had a lot to do with, well, what was my own internal experience? Not how did I look to somebody else, but what was I choosing and how did I enjoy it? What was it like for me?
Wow. That is great. And really, okay, now from that part, I believe that you were creating that belief in yourself since you were a child, like not really like a process that I started to
Well,
believe in.
and I had this support from my parents too. So right, that all sounds wonderful and it sounds like a dreamy childhood. But I was in the hospital for 10 days when I was 2.5 because I was diagnosed with juvenile rheumatoid arthritis. So all the joints on my right side swelled up so much that the doctors really doubted I'd be able to walk again.
Wow.
And they,
At two
when I
and a
was
half?
at 2.5. And so I was actually tied to the bed in the hospital because they didn't want me to move and traumatize my joints. And the whole thing was traumatic, right? Because it was the old days. So visiting hours were just for a couple hours twice a day. And my mother said she would only come once a day to see me because she just couldn't stand to hear me scream when she left. So it wasn't like now where, families kind of move into the hospital room. And and so there was so I don't remember a lot of that. I remember little bits and pieces from the hospital. But I think I very early on had a sense that, well, this wasn't to be taken for granted, right?
Mm,
And when I was released from the hospital, they put me on huge amounts of aspirin to bring down the swelling. And my parents were told not to let me do anything that might traumatize my joints. And my parents said, well, she'll know when it's too much and she'll stop. And so I had a bicycle and I was allowed to climb trees and I was allowed to jump off swings and things that I'm sure the doctors that I had when I was 2.5 would have said, oh, no, 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 you shouldn't let her do any of this. But I was given the space in which to make my own decisions, even though there had been some urgency around, would that be safe for me?
mm. And another thing that because with all the thing that you are telling me, I start to like bring other ideas. I remember that I was talking with a good mentor even a few weeks ago, and I was asking him, okay, I want to do more money that I'm doing now. I want to really succeed in this thing that I am doing, and I am bringing this to you because this is key. I was asking him, okay, what do you think is needed to do a lot of money when you are doing your own business and you want to have your own business? Is it something like clarity, or what is really that it's missing? And I remember this very well because applies exactly to what you are saying. The only thing that he asked me is, are you enjoying your time with your work? If you are enjoying, money will come. If you are not enjoying, money won't come. And that was so amazing because really what you are saying is like, I learned to play, and I continue playing even when I was in Taiwan, when I was in China, when I was in France. I was playing with new friends, looking for new friends, and started to play. So once now I want to go to, okay, let's start to talk about your business and the thing that you are doing. And I know that you continue playing with what you are doing and trying to share people like, okay, enjoy how to move your life, how to start to do work with your health and everything. But in your business and everything that you are doing, if you are not enjoying and you are not playing with that, you are going to have a hard time, and that's something that is key. So tell us a little bit of what you are doing now and how that like connects with all this playing, all this part of, even when you have hard times, okay, that is part of the game. you know
It is. Well, and the other thing I want to bring in here is that I was a literature major. And if you have a story in which the characters have no conflict and no challenge, it's really boring and you don't read it. It doesn't become a bestseller, right? And um, and so I think I don't have the sense that, well, everything should just be fine all the time. Because then, well, what's the point even of having a conversation? How are you? Just fine. How's the weather? Fine. How? Oh, everything's fine. Isn't that nice? Um, and so there can, you're going to grow at places of resistance, places where you need to actually rise up and do something. And I was, when I was traveling internationally, I was actually in a minor bus accident, and that launched me into 10 years of low back and neck pain. I was 21 at the time when that started. And so I had my own, again, right? I had that at 2.5, and then I had that in my 20s. A real experience of, wow, what is the impact of chronic pain on a life, right? What does that do to your sense of humor, or your enjoyment of other people, or your enthusiasm for getting out and doing things? Because, well, how much is it going to hurt, or how tired will I be, or how much will I need to recover at the end of that? And so 10 years is a long time for that. And when I was in the middle of that, I set the intention, well, okay, if I have to go through this, I want to map the territory so that I come out of it able to be useful to other people.
Mm,
And I did. And I saw lots of health professionals, right? I saw doctors and chiropractors and PTs and massage therapists and acupuncturists, and I still heard all the time. And it was after actually a couple months of a regular yoga practice that I came out of pain. And that was so exciting and really got my attention. And so I went off to yoga teacher training. Now I could do really deep poses, and it was really, I loved, back bends and put my head on my feet and all sorts. And I was not waking up in pain anymore. And I didn't have pain just, sitting around the house. So that was a huge relief. But I wasn't necessarily out of trouble yet. If I went for a walk for any great distance, like further than from the parking lot to the yoga studio, my left knee would hurt. And if I needed to work on the computer for a few hours on a project and use the mouse, my right shoulder would complain. So I was out of the big part of the trouble, but I still had some quirky tension patterns that were areas of vulnerability. And so I went to another training modality, the Feldenkrais method, where I learned to start unraveling some of those habits that didn't serve me so well.
mm,
And that was so it was 1991 that I was in the bus incident. And then it was 2001 that I came out of pain, and 2002 that I started teaching. And so for the last 20 years now, I've been teaching movement full time and just attending a lot of different professional training programs in a whole variety of modalities, because I really want to know, what do we know that works, that helps to fish people out of these sort of holes like the one that I was in.
mm,
And I love this work. I mean, I get to meet people in their tender places, and there's no pretense there, right? There's no social masks of, well, you admire my designer clothes or any of that nonsense. There's, well, who are you when you hurt? Who are you when you're confused, when you're trying something new? So I get to connect with people in very real ways, and I get to contribute to moments of turning things around for them. So they might have thought they were stuck, or they might have thought they were on a decline. And if we can start to reverse that so that they can come back out into the world and begin to have fun and interact with people again, what better job could you imagine, right? So what I have then too is that I was not on track for this job when I went off to college and studied literature,
mm,
or when I went to China and played music. I got here as a result of that accident and 10 years of pain. And so when I look at people that are in trouble, the kind that I can help with, I don't feel sorry for them. And I don't feel, oh, this shouldn't have happened. I feel a little bit excited, like, oh, what's on the other side of this, right? Like if you think about a story in chapters, you could be moving into a really wonderful next chapter. Let's make sure you don't get stuck in the transition, right? Like if this is a gateway or a portal, let's get you through the door, because the next chapter might look very different, and it might not be something that you would have chosen if we had asked you several chapters ago. But you might really like it, and it might really be of service to the world around you. So what I'm interested in when people come to me is sort of, well, what kind of character are you? And what's the arc of your story? And what role is available for me in your story? Because there is one, because you came to see me. But that doesn't mean that I'll have my role will depend on the person that I'm interacting with, right? It's not going to be the same with everybody. So I'm very interested in that. Well, how do we meet, and what do we create in that shared space between us?
Mm. And I want to like go a little bit deep in this area of 10 years of pain, because when you have some accident like this and you start to think like, okay, I have this issue. If you have it for a month, you are like complaining about that for that month. If you have it for 6 months, maybe you continue complaining like, I don't know why this happened to me, and you can be with that. But after you have it more than a year, suddenly you start to be like used to that, and you think that that is who you are now, and that is going to be your person the rest of your life. And that's why we wanted to talk about this, Paula. And this is great that you are like opening your heart with this and sharing that, because I don't know from the people that is listening right now or maybe in the future, what is the pain that you have right now. In my case, for example, I have like bloating all the time with my stomach, and really, because I got more than a year of that, I was thinking that that was normal, that that is who I am, and every time that I eat, I have this bloating, and I start to feel like I have a lot of gases and other things, and I think that that is normal because that is me and that is the way that I am, and blah blah blah. But when I started to work on myself, I started to realize, no, that is not normal. I can work with that. I can become better. That is exactly what you started to do. Like, okay, it's a pain that maybe it's going to take more time than only a year or 2 years. It took 10 years for you, but it's something that can be fixed if you start to do the right things, and if you have a coach that can help you. Like Paula already went through that for 10 years and understood what is the thing that you need to do. I know that Sheena is talking here, and I talked with her some time ago, and she's also there helping people, trying to improve on that. I am helping people in health and other areas in businesses also. So the pain that you have right now, there is a way to get out of that, and it's just a chapter. And that's something that I love of what you are saying. It's just a chapter. The amazing thing is that something better is coming out of that, and that's what you have to start to look for. So that is huge.
There's also the question of who are you in that difficult chapter,
Mm,
right? So what are you doing? Who are you being? Who are you meeting? Who are
mm,
you connecting with? And and what can you do even with those limitations? Because it would be wonderful to say, oh yeah, everything can resolve if you put in enough time and effort, right? Like my back pain did. But then I also had the experience. So then I had a few glorious years, right, where I just felt fabulous. And then I was swimming and kayaking in a river, and I picked up intestinal parasites, and they didn't get diagnosed for a while. And so I've had some autoimmune issues now for 15 years. And so then I don't have the pain, which is a blessing, but I have fatigue, which sometimes makes me feel like, well, chronic pain with energy was a little preferable to this. So I have now the situation of, well, my stamina is unpredictable, right? I can have good spells and I think, oh, and then I'll do this and this and this. And then I'll have spells where, whoa, I can't get that much done today. And so that was hard, right? In the beginning, it was, I got up to, oh, I've had this for 5 years now. And again, I was seeing lots of people and it's still not resolving. And things are better now, but it certainly is not completely reversed. And then I got to where, okay, 6, 7 years, well, maybe I just do 10-year cycles, right? It was 10 years of pain and then I'll get out of this. And then I passed 10 years and still have issues. And I thought, oh, come on, what's going on with this? But there's a lot to be learned about yourself with working within constraints, right? Okay, so there's what I would like to do if I got to just choose anything. And there's also, well, what would I like to do given my current situation, my current circumstances? And there's still a lot that I can do. And I still get to, I just keep going back to being a literature major, right? I'm still the author of my story. I still get to make choices about where do I go in my life and what do I do. But maybe it's not like an animation where you can just draw anything you like, right? I need to work with what I have, and there are challenges in there as well as things that are just wonderful.
And I want to go again because I like this that you are saying. Sometimes when we are in that pain or that difficulty or something, you are asking like, why me? What happened? And you start to go on that mindset, like asking why these things to me, because I have been a good person, I have been doing a lot of good things in the world, and why me in this moment? And really, maybe that is not the good question that you need to be asking for yourself, but start to ask how I can do something better from this, how I can change.
Also, I think there's how does this difficulty connect me with the world and other people? I think it's a James Baldwin quote that I remember mostly right, but I'll look it up and post it later, where he says, "You think that your pain and troubles are unique in all the world, and then you start reading more and you realize that that connects you to humanity." And I'm working now with a lot of people who have pain. And if you don't work in that area, you don't know how much other people are struggling because you don't ever have conversations with them about it. But I can go into a group and kind of run it like an auction, who's got neck pain? How about shoulder pain, hips, knees, ankles,
An
back
option.
pain? And hands go up all over. So you might think, oh, why me? Well, why not you? I mean, these troubles are spread around pretty widely. And so, what I also find is that people who don't have pain tend to assume, or life is fragile, right? We're fragile. Anything can happen. Anybody who's in great shape is just one illness or accident away from having trouble, sometimes serious trouble, and that's real life. And so what I perceive sometimes is that the people who are in good shape right now, it's really not pleasant to contemplate, oh, I could be in trouble like that person as well. And so they tend to push away and explain it by, oh, but I'm good. That hasn't happened to me. It happened to you because you weren't careful about what you ate, or weren't careful about what you did, or you thought bad thoughts. But it can happen to anybody. And so one advantage that I have in working with these people is, yeah, I've been there too. And I'm not afraid. I'm not afraid of my pain or health issues, and I'm not afraid of theirs. So then I can really connect with the person. And often we laugh a lot, right? So when you connect with somebody, you can really be playful, even in challenging situations. And what I find sometimes when I tell people that I work with people in chronic pain, they'll say, oh, that must not, that must be depressing, which it absolutely is not. Um, but it's because they want to push away and not connect. And then they miss out on a lot. And also, if anything challenging happens to them, they tend to go into what you say. Oh, well, why me, right? Why? So then there's sort of a blaming and there's a pushing away. This shouldn't happen to me. Well, why not? It happens to lots of people. Why would you be any different? And what are you going to do now, right? Like that's the more interesting question is, well, it is happening. So how are you going to rise to this occasion?
Yeah, and what you can do is like, okay, I'm going to be like depressed because of this, or I'm going to get out of this and become a better person. That's exactly the question. How
And
you
it's
want?
partly, who do you meet? What do you do, right? Like I would not have met many of the people that I have as far as movement teachers or clients, um, if I hadn't had that experience with being in pain, because I wouldn't have needed it and I would have chosen other things. and my life is much richer as a result of having done this. So I don't ever regret getting on the bus that launched me into that hard spell, because I agree to and delight in what came on the other side of that. So I'm not saying that everyone else has to have a positive attitude about every hard thing that happened to them, but it happened. So who are you now, and who are you becoming as a result of this? And what will you gain by blaming or questioning, right? I mean, it's here now.
Mm. Awesome, Paula. So, how they can reach you, how they can work with you, how they can connect with you, and start to see like, yeah, I feel exactly what you are saying. I want to know more about that. How I can be working with you. Tell us a little bit of that.
Wonderful. Well, I teach. I'm teaching all online right now, so the pandemic has allowed me to really expand
Fun.
my reach. I teach weekly classes over Zoom, and my next puzzle, right, that I need to figure out is how to do the tech platform that will allow me to have a monthly membership with recordings and all that. So that's in process. I have a workshop coming up next week called Love Your Hips, and 2 weeks after that, Love Your Neck and Shoulders. So those will be 90-minute workshops. And they'll be taught over Zoom. People have access to the recording and a PDF packet of reference materials. So those are coming up, and I can put the links in the comments. And also, I have a free gift, which is Pain-Free Neck Week. So one thing I find for people who've had chronic pain is that they've already tried a lot of things that don't work. And so then it's not very convincing to say, oh, well, I can help though. So what I did was put together 5 short videos of techniques that people can try. So if you sign up for the free gift, then every day you get a link to another short video with one technique in that video, and then you get to try it out. And if it doesn't work for you, it doesn't work, you go on with your day. But if it does work, well, that's pretty interesting. Oh, your body responds to this technique. Maybe that's something you want to try again. And then the next day is a very different kind of technique. So, so that people can have their own experience.
So if you have any questions or you don't find how to find Paula, you can even reach to me and I will direct you to Paula. So don't worry about that. There is a way. You can connect with her if you want to. Even if you are listening to this later in YouTube or in another channel, it's fine. Just reach to me and tell me I want to contact Paula, and I will like redirect you to her, and that is fine. So, and really what she's saying, it's amazing because it's sometimes we are like, okay, I am very busy and I don't have time to do this. But really, even 5 minutes can change your life, like doing it every day. 5 minutes of movement, like consciously, not only like thinking, yeah, I am going to move quickly and let's do another thing, but consciously, like, okay, I feel pain in my back, lower back. I need to be working a little bit on that, work on that, and don't think like, oh, I will do it in 10 years when I have time.
Yeah, do it before you become a train wreck. Also,
Yeah.
I just want to put this out too, right? So I do work with people that are in pain, but also I love to catch people a little bit before that. And so many folks are spending hours at the computer every day. If you just try this, right? Take your arms down to your sides and then rotate your arms so that your palms face the wall behind you. And can you feel how that brings your shoulders forward and up? And your head forward. Exactly. Now, if you put your hands on the keyboard and type from there, right, you're going to be a mess at the end of the day. But if you just let your arms hang down to your side, rotate the other way. So now your palms face forward. Can you feel your shoulders move back and your neck is more free?
Yeah.
Now from there, bend at the elbows and turn over from the elbows, and you can bring your hands to the keyboard, but your shoulders will be more back without you having to work hard, without you having to correct yourself. So that's what I've also been doing, is putting together a lot of little tips about, well, what do we know about how the body works, and what are little things you can do so that you're set up to just stay, fresh and energetic all day, so that you can do the work you want to do, and you don't have to recover from it later, and you don't need to have physical tension or fatigue interrupt you from whatever flow you've got in your project, right? You can work at what you choose to work on for as long as you choose to do it. You don't need to, taking care of your body doesn't have to be something that you do on breaks. It can be something that you integrate with what projects you're choosing to work on.
And this is amazing, Paula, because really that is very simple, but at the end, it's something that if you are not aware, you don't do it, and you are suffering later because of that. So thank you again for this call. It was amazing, Paula. I hope that we can have another call very soon and connecting again to be sharing this wisdom and all this awareness that you helped us to get today. It was amazing. Do you have like a final word that if nobody listened to anything and the only thing that they want to hear is this, what do you say is that?
Well, I just would love them to be thinking about what do they enjoy and what are they doing to prolong their ability to do that over time. I mean, average life expectancy is so long right now. I saw an interview recently with someone who's 97. That's 45 years away for me. I'm really thinking long term. What am I doing now so that 40 plus years from now, I'll still be thinking clearly, still be walking around on my own 2 feet. So don't make your thinking about your body be really short term, right? Like what size pants are you wearing today? But how are you using yourself so that you're going to be set up to do activities you enjoy for a long time to come?
Wow, I love it. So thank you, Paula. See you
Thank you,
later.
Alejandro. It's such a pleasure to be with you.
No, it was really amazing, and really thank you for everyone that is listening to this. I am enjoying this as you are enjoying this type of conversation. So thank you very much, and see you later.
Thank you.